That is Phil Collins. Brian Warohio, that is for you there, my brother. It is Phil Collins on this terrific Tuesday with both sides of the story. Now, do you know what? On every Tuesday, by the way, to get both sides of the story, we get onto this hour. This, as in every Tuesday, we cut him out because he is here indeed to do the Lord's work. He's a gentleman who says, who basically comes into the studio and he does the Lord's work because he does it pro bono. He does it pro bono because you might have yourself some sort of a legal question. Okay. And you ask yourself, sasa hii case tutatatuaje? Nipeleke kwa wakili ama? Well, you know what? You pitch us the question, we pitch him the question, then he will give you an answer. Okay. And we are talking about advocate Eliud Ngugi Esquire of Ngugi Mburu Advocates, and today he's kind of like taken the second chair. Okay, and indeed, if you're not like, you should live stream this. You need to get onto spicefm.co.ke because you know he's made himself look very small. He's trying to occupy as little space as possible in this studio. Because in studio we have a legend. And in terms of matters law, you can understand how, do you know, like there is the sun, and then they say the biggest planet is Jupiter, but it is minuscule when you put it up against the sun. Because in studio today, I remember watching him on TV late last year as he was talking about his book. A book, by the way, that is titled Audacity and Sacrifice. I watched him, I'm like, man, for one who has done so much, he still has got a lot to give. So he's here to share, and indeed, hopefully, also to give sage advice to the you and the Gugis of this world. I'm going to have so much fun bullying you today. We give you a gentleman who was born in 1945, was chairman of the Law Society of Kenya, where, as far as I'm concerned, was the most interesting time in our country. He was chairman in 82 when there was a coup. He has been and done so much for the legal fraternity, not only here in Kenya, but internationally. A gentleman who, you know what, he went to school when at the University of East Africa, Dar es Salaam, when the law faculty was over there. He has practiced law for 32 years. I said he has served as chair of the LSK between 1981 and 1983. He was president of the African Bar Association from 81 to 1987. Where were you? In 1986, he was appointed the commissioner of Aziza, serving in that capacity for 10 years, for 10 years. In 2003, President Mwai Kibaki conferred him with the rank and dignity of senior counsel. And in 2006, he was named to the Roll of Honor of the Law Society of Kenya. Oh man, this avalanche kept on gathering steam because between 2003 and 2012, he served as a ad litem judge of the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. That was in Arusha. And in 2012, he was elected as a judge of the United Nations Residual Mechanism for International Criminal Tribunals. Wow, I'm glad I said that sober. Where he still serves while administering community justice. He's also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya, now the Institute of Certified Secretaries, ICS. He's been involved in mediation and training mediators as chairman of Dispute and Conflict Resolution International. And you know what? When we talk about him, we definitely have got to talk about when people have done so much, they must leave something to immortalize them. And of course, let's put pen to paper. He's got a book. It's called Audacity and Sacrifice, which talks about Kenya's return to multi-party politics advocacy for children's rights, contributions to international justice systems such as the UN criminal tribunals for Rwanda and the United Nations residual mechanism for international criminal tribunals. It is not just an autobiography. It's a powerful narrative of a man who rose above adversity to make a lasting impact on this world. And through this story, this distinguished judge inspires us all to strive for justice, equality, and betterment of humanity. In this book, you as a reader will be treated to his perseverance, audacity, skill, pragmatism, truthfulness that basically will supersede personal interests, inspiring you to overcome adversity and make a lasting impact, both in your personal life and on the global stage. In studio, we have the great good pleasure to give you Justice Lee Muthoga. Karibu sana, Judge.
Thank you.
Welcome to welcome to Spice Drive, and we call it Legal Tuesday. Karibu sana. 32 years. It's a long time, is it?
No, it's quite a while.
It's been quite a while. Eliud, how old are you? 29?
I'm a youth.
Are you embarrassed with your age? No. So how can you say?
I'm 34.
You're 34.
Yeah.
So technically, you had a pacifier in your mouth. when justice was started in these mean streets.
True, indeed.
Yeah. And how does it feel, by the way, when you meet? They say never meet your heroes. First time you met Judge?
No, this is not the first time I'm meeting Judge.
Right.
I think in 2017, I'd taken a big case, and
Right.
I was requested by my client to look for Judge for counsel,
Okay.
for him to guide me on how to go about that case. My client told me, I'm giving you the number of Justice
Yes.
to go sit down with him,
Right.
have him advise you on how we should go about this case.
Right.
I did that. I went to his chambers.
Right.
We sat down. He guided me.
Right.
But also important to note is that Judge shares his first name.
Yes.
Shares his first name with my father.
Lee.
Yes. So growing up,
Right.
and when I was desiring to become an advocate,
Right.
I would associate Judge with my dad.
Right.
And I kept thinking, one day I want to meet the Judge.
Indeed.
And I met him in 2017, and this is a humbling moment to just be in the presence of a hero.
You know, even the way you're speaking,
Yeah.
it's like you're getting so emotional. It's like you want to make me cry.
Yes.
Justice Muthoga, it's been in all those years, 32 years. You know, obviously the law is a living being, and it evolves. Are they sharper? We argue with Mariam here about the difference between the baby boomers, the Gen X's, us, and then the pacifiers, them, the millennials, and now the Gen Zs. Are they getting sharper? Are they getting better?
No, every generation
Yes.
lives for itself.
Yes.
None can be better than the other.
Wow. That was a very pragmatic legal answer. Good one. Good one. Justice, we're going to get to talk about audacity and sacrifice. And, I've just got one question, okay, concerning when you were chairman of the LSK. Yeah. But before that, what we usually do, we talk about matters law that occurred in this, our Kenya, in the past 1 week. And of keen interest, I don't know if you found it, Eliud, and then we just get your opinions and, your advice, because I'm part of a men's group on WhatsApp. Just to say, you're on WhatsApp, are you part of groups?
I am on WhatsApp.
You're on WhatsApp?
I am on a man's group, but that's church men's group.
Oh, okay. It's just for watu wa kanisa.
wanaume wake.
Wanipa, okay. I'm gonna, I don't know, with your permission, I want to start a WhatsApp group with you, but we'll talk about that after. Now, there was a judgment last week. Have you found it, Eliud? Okay, but as I look for it, let's start with Mariam. Yesterday, we had a court ruling that having children with a man is not proof of marriage. And this judge basically dismissed a woman's claim of marriage to a man because she's got 5 kids with him. Let's break that down, please, Eliud.
Well, having children with a man is not proof of marriage because under the Marriage Act of 2014, the only proof of marriage is a marriage certificate. And nowadays, if you are traditionally married, have what we call customary law, and you went, paid dowry, but never signed a certificate and made an application to get married at the office of AG, then you're taken to still be single, and it is very difficult for you to then claim that you are man and wife.
I remember there was a time where, well, I know that law applies in Tanzania, where it is if you cohabit with somebody for 6 months, you assumed you're married. Did that come with stay? Was there not a time where that was either applicable or they tried to apply it here?
They did, I thought. They
That
said
was
that after staying with someone for 6 months.
Pre-2013, before the new Marriage Act. Remember, before the Marriage Act, we had several acts of parliament on marriage. So you will find that there will be a law governing the Hindu marriages, a law governing African and traditional marriages, a law governing Christian marriages, and all of these acts were now brought together to form what we have, the Marriage Act, as a Marriage Act 2014. So pre that, we had other provisions that will be taken, and one key one would be the Married Women Property Act of it was such an old 1882. Yes, that introduced what we call presumption of marriage. And you'd come to court and state that under section 17 of that old act, that you had carried yourself as a married person, the people around you had a presumption that you and person Y, this lady or this man, were married because you came from the same house, you had children, and therefore there will be a presumption, and you'll be able to make that, to seek that the court issues a presumption of marriage or presumes you as husband and wife.
Okay, so all those people who are there, let's for all intents and purposes, their parents have been cohabiting because this is pre-2013, right? And they never got a wedding certificate. Now they have to get married?
We don't have to go to church, but they have to make an application because when the 2014 Act came into law, there was a provision that within 3 years, everyone should be able to make an application. People married customarily or traditionally should make an application to get married.
Okay.
That 3-year period expired in 2017. There was an extension given up to, I believe, 2021. And still, fewer people are able to apply for these marriage certificates. And now we're having conversations in our courts because for you to initiate what we call the matrimonial property case, you need to first of all prove that there was a marriage.
So that would affect the widow?
No, that affects the other party who is in a cohabitation.
But
so we are having a situation where you have to file. We have clients coming. I have clients who have come to me and said, hey, we have separated and would like to go for the matrimonial property, and I would like to get my share, and I have to first go to the magistrate's court and seek for an order that there be presumed a marriage, that there was a marriage that existed.
Yes.
So you get that court order, and now you are able to proceed forward. And the courts have actually I think they have already determined this is the direction to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happens if one is deceased?
If one is deceased and you are married,
no, you are not clearly.
You're
Traditionally,
married traditionally.
Yeah.
Then you'll be going for the succession process.
Okay. Bas.
And you'll be seeking to be a beneficiary as a former wife or as a wife of a person.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
sorry, my question.
The succession law is separate from the marriage law. So, or rather, the succession process is different from the divorce process. So, in a succession process, all you need to do is come in and indicate that you are a wife or a former wife. Mm-hmm. We do not require you to provide the proof. So you come in and prove that you're a beneficiary. So are you a beneficiary under the requirement under, I believe, should be Section 29 of the Succession Act.
Okay. So my question to Judge Lee was, is there any need, in your opinion, to use the law to protect the family unit?
Let me first of all start and telling you that what has been, this conversation has been going between the two of you is the real evidence of what confusion can be. Mm-hmm. Most of the things you said are neither true nor false. When you say, when the law presumes that you are married, it seeks to put into your mind an intention to marry. Now, in the law as it is, we picked it up from the United Kingdom, there was no presumption of marriage. Even Married Women Property Act wasn't presuming the marriage as such. What it was presuming is that because you have lived together for a long time and you have had children together, you must have intended to become a married man. And you have allowed others to call you a married man. You have allowed others to call you wife of so-and-so, husband of so-and-so, and you have not protested. If you had protested, we would not be able to impute it. Now you haven't done, and it's been for a long, long time. Therefore, we stop you. We stop you from denying that you are what you have told us you are, the wife of or the husband of. That was the theory behind that. Then, of course, as you probably know, as we went on, we continued applying English law. Then we also brought some law from India and brought it out and applied. Then we created statutes which, as Mr. Goge has provided, created how a black man, a Christian man should marry, how a Muslim person should marry, and how a Muthoga man should marry. And all those were separate laws. And of course, what was important is if you are a married Christian man, they presume that your marriage was monogamous, i.e., you had decided to marry only one wife,
yes,
and never more than one. And that's what the law says. The facts don't say the same. The facts say that you marry the first, you marry one girl and label her my wife.
Yes.
The law should then prescrude you from getting another wife.
Yes.
In other words, if you are married monogamously, you have no capacity to marry another wife.
Yes.
And that remains so until 2012, I think 2012.
Yes.
It is said that a person who is married under the Act
Yes.
could not marry, did not have capacity to marry another person. So even if you have another 10 people who live on you, who you provide food for, you provide place for, you bring children up together and so forth, we had to say they are not your wives.
But
Then you have to look how to define them, and some people would call them concubines, others would call them all manner of things.
yes.
But the Lord doggedly remained that. But it remained that because things got messed up in 1982 when President
Moi.
asked Eugene Cochran
Yes.
to look into our customary laws and of succession and customary laws of marriage, and come up to tell us what they say, because customary law of a Kikuyu was not the same as customary law of a Luo, was not the same as customary law of a Kamba, it's not the same as customary law of whatever else.
Justice, why, if I may ask, why 82 and why this particular justice? Do we know? That Cotton sounds like Yoni Mzungu.
No, Eugene Cochran was a Mzungu.
Yes.
He was just what he actually became a judge in our courts.
Yes.
And he was what shall I say? He was a researcher.
Yes. Okay.
And he was appointed for his knowledge in the law and so on and so forth.
Right.
But you see, when he compiled the law of succession and the law of marriage, the law of succession went through and became law.
Yes.
The law of marriage went to Parliament and was thrown out.
Yes.
In fact, it was thrown out 3 times.
Yes. Wow.
Because most of the parliamentarians, a majority of the male parliamentarians, had people they called wives who are more than one.
Yes.
And the law was saying you can only have one.
Right.
And so they threw it out.
And this was in 82. Was John Joe was the Minister of Constitutional Affairs? Was it?
No.
Yes.
The law of succession and the law of marriage were reviewed earlier than that.
Right.
But it really had nothing to do, I think, with Charles George. It just had one thing to do, is that here is a concept which is brought. The law should now say that one person can only marry one wife, monogamously, and there is legislators who are already in breach of that provision, if you can think of it as a breach.
Right.
And therefore they kept saying, no, we can't, man cannot be denied his inherent right to marry more than one.
You see, and Justice Muthoga, you talk about muddying the waters. Because then Advocate Ngugi, MNK versus POM, all right? This is Kenya law, right? There's apparently the court recognizes that there exists now relationships where couples cohabit with no intention whatsoever of contracting a marriage. As such, courts should shy away from imposing marriage on unwilling persons. What does that mean for the layman, Justice?
It means this, and it is correct. You should not see that every father of a child is a husband of someone.
I like that.
Right?
Yes.
There are many fathers who are not husbands of anybody.
Yes.
And there are many mothers who are not wives of anybody. Right?
Yes.
So we should not impose a relationship, an intention. It is critically important that we determine that these two persons, on the day they came together, intended that they be husband and wife. If all they intended was that they have a child, and it is possible to intend to only have a child and part ways, we should not convert them into, or forcibly convert them into husband and wife.
Right.
But the tragedy is that there are many who have no particular intention. They don't actually know what intention they are in.
Yes.
They just end up in that relationship.
But that's why I asked that question, because in your days, for example, once you impregnated a girl that was your wife, you would have to take care of that girl and the child.
No, never. If you impregnated a girl, all you knew is that you are going to pay for that impregnation. Utalipa busi. Mtoto wa mwenyewe.
Yes.
Lakini the child in the Kikuyu group, the child belonged to the mother. Right?
Yes.
But you pay
busi.
You pay busi for it.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what happened to the child, where she goes or didn't go or whatever.
Mbuzi ngapi, Justice? Moja?
Well, it depends on where exactly it was, but certainly you have to pay for the men. The member of the father family must eat a goat,
right,
and whatever other fine that might be imposed.
Okay.
And sometimes the fine may be in the form of even money.
Yes.
But that never created a marriage relationship.
Right.
If you want to create a marriage relationship, then you must go to the parents of the wife. And in now I'm talking about Kikuyu, because it's not necessarily the same with the Luo or Kambu.
Yes.
In Kikuyu, you have to go to the parents of the wife, and you have then to pay what we call Mwatena Harika, takes a lamb and goat, and declare that I want to marry your daughter so and so.
Yes.
And if there is no objection, because there can be objection, if there is no objection, then that matter starts a marriage, and now you are given, you pay dowry and so on and so on and so forth.
Right.
That is now constituted a marriage. Now, but just the fact that you have impregnated a girl, it doesn't constitute her your wife. In fact, you find a girl with 5 children.
Wow.
From 5 different
I will not offer an opinion on that, Justice, for you are here. And I was told you must respect your elders. So Justice, still on matters pregnancy.
Yes.
Now the 2010 Constitution obviously also created
and defined the child differently.
Yes.
From the way rights were defined.
Right.
And said a child is a child. And therefore, irrespective of whether your mother was married to this man, you are entitled to inherit from him if he is your father.
Wow.
You see, before that, in the Gikuyu, you only inherited from the person whom your mother is wife of. I.e., if your mother is the wife of Kwach, then Kwach is your father. You cannot say Kwach is not your father. You only Kwach only knew your mother the day before yesterday. It is, as long as he is the husband, he is your father.
Wow.
We were not allowed to go look for fathers elsewhere.
Yes.
But now, that was under Kikuyu customary law.
Right.
And therefore, if you have a child, a girl has a child, that girl doesn't become the wife of the father of that child unless or until that father has gone to the parents, to the wife's or the girl's
home.
parents' home, and got that consent and acceptance.
I like this. So we've learned that, now I honestly say the good old days. That after umelipa hiyo mbuzi ama hiyo pesa, hiyo mtoto ameenda. I like, I shouldn't say that. But then matters pregnancy, justice. Also, with the Constitution came the creation of, before the Apex Court was a Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
Now we've got the 7 justices of the Supreme Court. And, I've looked for it, unfortunately, Justice, but I cannot find it. But so I don't know whether it was an opinion or a ruling. Where last week, and for baby daddies, you understand the term, Justice?
Yeah.
For baby daddies and for men who are thinking of taking their wives to school. One of the justices of the Supreme Court said that a woman pushing, giving birth, that whole period can also be, can also be construed or said to be
direct contribution.
Yes.
Or indirect contribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
To what, again? Because the way it made sound is that you ni kama kazi.
That, you see, now you are talking about a matter of now when they come to separate.
Yes.
To share property.
Yes.
Because you see what happened is that under the customary law of England, what you would call the customary law of England,
Yes.
which we call the common law,
Yes.
no one had an obligation to maintain an adulterous wife. All right?
Mm-hmm.
But if your wife is not adulterous, it is you, the husband, are responsible for her maintenance. You must give her food, you must clothe her, you must provide for her. The obligation to provide was attached to husband, except where the wife has been told to be adulterous.
Yes.
So, because of that, when they did not agree and they had to divorce, it was assumed the property or that property which they have acquired belonged to the person in whose name it is registered, and that is usually the husband. So now we come to look at it and we say the justice of the case does not call that, because though I was not earning a wage, I was working for this family because I was bringing up the children of the family. I was taking them to school. I was washing them. I was feeding them. And that's now something that must be recognized as my contribution to the family, and therefore entitling me to something in the family property as being shared. Right? That contribution, because we used to say, "What is your contribution?" And then you'd pull out the receipts.
Yes, the
wages.
Yes,
I bought that cupboard was mine.
Yeah.
Here is a receipt. That cow is mine.
Yes.
Here is it, and so on and so forth. And nobody was saying, "What about cooking?" You see, that service of cooking and feeding the children and washing them up was not being considered as a contribution.
Yes.
Now the judge has said, and that is the law now, that would be taken into account as the lady's contribution.
So
no
to be clear,
lady ought to go empty-handed.
Wow. So to be clear, it is the law, not just her opinion.
Sorry?
It is now the law. That it's not just her opinion.
Well, when you are sitting in the Supreme Court,
yes,
your opinion becomes the law.
I like that. So I foresee a scenario now here where, and Mariam, be careful after, and the way Justice has explained it, I know now we all understand, because before it sounded like a liberal something agenda coming from somewhere else. But you see now what this is now, I can foresee a lot of men saying, hey, now imagine just sit there and do nothing. Mm-hmm. Get the nanny, get a pacifier, and get what of that thing for nannying milk?
Pump.
Okay? Just give birth. Ukimaliza hiyo kazi. Imagine. Tulia.
You have half of the property.
Yes. Okay, and then now finally, before we talk about the book, Justice, and this is, a lot of Kenyans are confused and they made a lot of noise, including some members of the society, that would be the Law Society. There was a ruling, and jailed ex-Kiambu Governor Waititu appeals against 12-year prison term, and 53.5 million shilling fine. His lawyers raised 57 grounds of appeal. It's not about the 57 grounds of appeal. It's about the amount.
I don't think, with respect, I don't think it would be a good thing to discuss.
Okay.
A matter which is sub judice.
Okay.
In court.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But just in broad strokes, can we?
What are you? We can't say this.
Yes.
On that matter.
Yes.
The Anti-Corruption Act, crimes. What do we call it? A Crime and Corruption Act,
yes,
provides how a person should be sentenced.
Imeandikwa pale.
And in my said, if you got convicted of this, then you pay twice the amount you have stolen, or so on and so on.
Thank you. So
that's a statutory defined definition.
It's there.
Yes.
Yeah, because so it's all about figures, Advocate Ngugi. So the amount you are alleged to have stolen, it's
you are proved to have stolen, not alleged. Proved to have stolen. The amount you have been alleged, you can be alleged to have stolen 25 billions.
This is important.
What you have been proved to have stolen, then when sentencing,
right,
that the law says it should either be doubled or whatever it is.
Right.
But as I said, it is not a good case to discuss, because there are certain aspects.
Yes.
And there are also some litigation yet pending before the courts yet to be decided. And what we say may be taken as being not in good with the court. The court might not be happy with our decisions.
Indeed. Now we've got you've authored a book. First of all, thank you so very much, Justice Lee Muthoga, for honoring us with your presence. We are very humbled. You've authored a book, and we want you to live stream this, by the way. We're live on Facebook. Get on to spicefm.co.ke. And obviously, I know our producer Jeff has focused into one at the table. You've also got a copy there, so you can hold that up to camera. Wairemo. Mm-hmm. So this is a book that basically describes your journey, Justice Muthoga. And
as best as I could remember.
Yes, in fact, that's what I wanted to ask. Tell us about the day when you decided everyone wants to write a book, but most people, they either get a ghostwriter, and you have authored this while you are still lucid. What inspired you to put down your life story on paper?
Let me say, the thought of writing a book is not recent with me.
Right.
It has existed for a long time.
Right.
The act of putting it down
Right.
has been delayed and delayed and delayed. Delayed because of what I thought was a lot of work.
Yes.
Either as a practitioner, you don't have the time to sit down and think that. Then after that, you became a judge. And now a judge, you have a lot of things that you must think about
Indeed.
in the court and so forth. And it's only recently that the court, the Mechanism for International Criminal Tribunals, MICT, we brought our work, our trial work, and appealed to work to an end. We tried everybody that was indicted, except Ferguson
Kaboga.
And Kaboga was found unfit to stand trial by the court.
Really?
So, yes.
May we talk about that? May we ask
Yes,
how?
yes.
Why? He had been on the run for ever.
Yes, 24, yes.
And unfit because of age, justice, some are unfit because of mental, he was not corpus mentis.
Because his dementia
Yes.
had gone far too much.
Wow.
He was not able to respond
Wow.
to the trials, and he was examined for that purpose by 3 different
Right.
medical
Right.
authorities,
Right.
and they came to the conclusion that he could not stand trial,
Right.
and made that determination. And now we ended up with one prisoner
Yes.
who is held up in a detention facility intended for, I think, 120 or so
Wow. This is in Arusha.
prisoners. No, at The Hague.
At The Hague, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now it must remain open
Yes.
because he is there, and it is costing the United Nations quite a bit of money. We had hoped it would be possible to give him temporary release, as the law allows us to do. But the state where he was arrested is France, and France would not touch
Take him
him.
back. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And he would not want to go to where he is entitled to go,
Which is home, Rwanda.
which is home, Rwanda.
Yes, Kagame would finish him at the airport.
Oh, I don't know what would happen, but at least he wouldn't want to go there.
Yes.
So, then what do we do with him?
Yes.
That's the question that our president is struggling with.
Right.
And I do
Sorry,
not know.
the president of the court or the president of the republic?
President of the court.
Okay.
Not
yes,
of the
indeed.
republic.
Okay.
No,
okay.
no, no.
Yes. Yes.
Not your president.
Yeah,
Our president.
yes. Yeah. Right.
She is struggling with that.
Yes.
We meet regularly,
Right.
plenary.
Right.
And the last plenary was held in Tanzania, in Arusha,
Yes.
at the beginning of last year. And we said, continue and see if you can take the matter back to the Security Council.
So speaking of what about Felician? Because he was caught he was also in Europe somewhere.
Who? Ferdinand
Yes.
Kabuga.
Yes.
He's the one we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
He's the one
Yes.
we were not able to try because
Yes.
his dementia had
Wow.
gone very far.
Oh, so he's the one individually you're talking about.
So yes, and we came to that because it's after that
Yes.
our load became easy.
Ibas.
My girls,
Yes.
I will not call them little girls
Yes.
anymore.
Yes.
Then he said, Dad,
Yes.
now it's time to write the book.
The book.
This book you have been writing.
Yes.
And I said, all right, I think it's about time to do so. So let me sit down and think about it. And that's how I came to deciding to begin writing.
Justice, you clearly, in terms of the arbitration, globally, you have done a lot. But the Rwandan system, I remember because there were so many people, they had those village trials. Then you were all those ones. Mm-hmm. And then you all were then based out in Arusha for a long while.
Yeah.
when you listen and see the Rwandan story today as we speak on this Tuesday in 2025, do you nod your head and say, yes, we did good?
Now, let me make it absolutely clear that the Gacaca trials was a Rwandan system of communal justice, of administering communal justice.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with the UN, nothing to do with our systems at all.
Yes.
We, the United Nations, instituted a tribunal under rules and of procedure and evidence. She regulated how trials should be carried out. And that's what we applied all the time. Now, whether we succeeded in unifying or not is for the world to judge. It's really not us. But we did everything. The people who were charged before us, we tried them. Some were acquitted because the evidence was insufficient to convict. Others were found guilty and convicted, and some appealed, and the appeals were allowed or not allowed. And for those that were not allowed, they were taken to jails.
In Rwanda.
No. In other countries that accepted our detainees. And also, of course, we had our sister tribunal at the Hague, the United Nations Tribunal for former Yugoslavia. And they were trying those who were primarily responsible for the genocide that occurred in former Yugoslavia. Now, these people or these persons were those who were convicted and sentenced. In the case of United Nations Tribunal for former Yugoslavia, they are serving sentences in various states around Europe.
I'm going to take a pause there, Judge. So we are talking for the news. We are talking about, he has authored a book, Audacity and Sacrifice. Justice Lee Muthoga is in studio. We want you to dial the number 0719-012-600. Ask those questions after the news. Next.
Sugar and spice and everything.
Yes, indeed. It is Tuesday, Legal Tuesday, no less. And that means we are indeed. Today we've done things different. And we did tell you that in 2025 we are doing things differently. And speaking of doing things differently, he has been a pathfinder and he has done things differently. He's been in practice for the past 32 years. And indeed, it is a journey. It is a journey. And he turned on the 25th of January. And if you live stream this, and you do that by... we're live on Facebook. Get on to spicefm.co.ke. We are privileged to have in studio. He was one of the first to be conferred. He's got so many firsts, it's unbelievable. To be conferred with, I hope we can call it a title of senior counsel. And then also, I like this bit. He was named to the Roll of Honor for the Law Society of Kenya. And that was in 2006. Title of senior counsel when they started in 2003, courtesy of the late Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. He was one of the first to be given the dignity of that rank and title. And indeed, he is, there's so much that we want to talk about, and just time is not our friend. He's also former chairman of the Law Society of Kenya from 1981 to 1983. We have in studio a Kenyan pathfinder, now author, Justice Lee Muthoga. Thank you so very much, Justice, for coming and gracing us with your presence. Wacha tupigie makofi hapo. Justice has, penned a book. It's called Audacity and Sacrifice. And you know what? This is a book that retails for 3,500 shillings. And I'm going to tell you where you can find it. You can also basically get online for the various locations where you can find it within Nairobi, the particular bookstores. Online, of course, you'll be able to figure out how you can get a copy of this book no matter where you are. Because there are 2 copies in studio, and I'm becoming very friendly with Justice Muthoga. I think I'm going to get one of those copies, signed. Okay. But as I was perusing very quickly, Justice, in this day and age, we have the Ngugis of this world, right? And, he starts his practice, Ngugi Mburu advocates. And you see them, they're online and they're very business savvy these days. I saw that when you started practicing, there's a chapter there dedicated to Hamilton, Harrison, and Matthews. And it also took me back in time because also, my father worked with you at HHM. And in those days, how did they pick? Because, they were the so-called, when you talk about Hamilton, Harrison, Matthews, clearly it's not Okello, Otieno, and Kajwang. It's not Ngugi Mburu. How did they get, I'd really like to know, I'm fascinated, the African lawyers, I wanted to call them black lawyers, the African lawyers to the so-called white law firms. Can you share that tale? We're sitting around the fireplace listening to you, Justice.
Let me first of all start by clarifying for you.
Yes.
Your dad wasn't in Hamilton, Harrison, and Matthews when I was there.
Right, okay.
Your dad then practiced with the late Justice Masime.
Yes.
As Masime and
Kwachi, yes.
And it is your dad who then left Masime.
Yes.
And accepted an appointment in the law firm Hamilton, Harrison, and Matthews.
Yes.
That's just historical.
Right.
But that's long after I had left.
Right.
I left in April of 1972.
Right. Wow.
And I think your dad moved on in 74, 75.
Right.
I could be wrong on the dates.
Yes.
Now, your question is how did they pick African lawyers and so forth? They grudgingly did so. We had just become independent, and more black lawyers were coming onto the platform, and they did not have as many non-lawyers as they would. So they grudgingly began picking Africans.
Yes.
They started like Kaplan and Staton or another law firm, Kaplan and Staton did. Yes. They would pick the sons and or daughters of prominent African people either in government or in social life and public life. They would pick those. Of course, as it would happen, it would probably also have been people who went to the Alliance High School.
There we go. Yes.
The Alliance High School.
Sorry, Warangogi, where did you go to school?
He didn't.
Speaking.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Everybody who don't go to Alliance did not go to school.
But
I went to a national school.
So,
right.
Anyhow,
yes.
Those ones would be picked one by one,
right,
and brought in. Usually, it would be the partners themselves who would source, would meet people and so forth. But now, by the time I was going in, I personally started by rejecting going to a Muthoga farm. I wanted to go to an African farm.
Sorry to interrupt. May I ask why, Justice?
Because we just come out of a struggle with these Muthogas, and they had sat on us for a long time.
Yes.
So it wasn't feeling comfortable. But I started in Tanzania, in Tanganyika.
Yes.
Which later became Tanzania.
Yes, in Dar.
And we were not very happy with the capitalists and others on the likes. So I came out, determined if I could avoid it, to go to Muthoga, avoid going to a Muthoga farm.
Right.
That's what I would have loved.
Right.
But when I began looking for pupillage,
Yes.
I did not get an African farm. I went to Alohio and Makecha and Alohio. I went then I went to Defara S.E. D'Souza, and I went to a few others. I went to Dane and Waredi, and I could not get space. That's how I give up and decided now to go to HHRM. HHRM, because they were the bigger farm, and they could take more pupils, so they accepted me, and I became a pupil.
1972. It is 2025. When you look at how that is when you were leaving.
Yes,
that is when you set up your own practice now.
That's right.
So obviously, even then, you were pathfinders.
Yes.
When you look at what this school is doing now, is there a market change? Are we still, because obviously there are still those companies that will go, they'll look at the name and then they will still prefer a Muzungu title, because I see, do you call them, when they say LLC, it's like when the international firms now, they merge with the local ones? Yeah? That's no?
LLPs?
Yes.
No, it's just a partnership, a new way of registering.
Okay.
But you'll find these tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Which means what for us, the laymen?
So tier 1 is a law firm that has more than 100 plus lawyers.
My Jesus. That is here in Kenya?
Yeah, we have a few.
And is it those HHMs that he's referring to?
Yes.
They're now 100 plus?
You find 100 plus 200 plus advocates in a whole floor, or 2 floors of a building.
Yes.
Then now you have firms with 50 lawyers.
Yes.
Then you have others.
So those are now the tiers. Those are now the tiers you're talking about.
You even find sole proprietors where you find it's just a single person.
Yes.
We call it a kiosk.
Yeah, those are now the ones that
boutique.
they're boutique.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice word.
Yes.
So is that what we used to describe as briefcase?
Yes,
No, briefcase is not the boutique.
Yes.
Briefcase was related to what we call personal injury. Ambulance chasers.
Right.
The man has no office anywhere.
Right.
It's only a briefcase. He runs around. There's been an accident.
Right.
He's out there with the people who have been injured.
Right.
Goes to hospital, fights them, and gets out.
Right.
And then goes to raise insurance claims.
Yes.
That was a briefcase.
Right. So Justice, when we talk about the tiers then, well, now, vis-a-vis how it was then, when you look back, are you, after 30 plus years, do you like, okay, we are making leaps and bounds, we are growing in the right direction?
Now, what do I say? Is there a direction, right or wrong?
Which is,
I don't think.
Are we in a good place?
You see, we have problems to solve.
Yes.
And what is a lawyer? A lawyer is someone who helps another person to resolve problems relating to life, to law and life. And we do have problems. We have we produce many more lawyers than we did at that time.
Yes.
And that itself has its own challenges.
Yes.
We have, I think we have in the order of thousands of lawyers.
We have
25,000 in practice. Managing them is not as easy as it used to do when I had 656.
Wow.
So
this was when you were chair of the LSK?
Yes, when I was chair of the LSK.
Right.
I literally knew every member by name and his direct line and office line,
Yes.
and so on and so forth.
I like that.
Now I don't think there's anybody who knows that. But that, because it's that large number, it has also collected a lot of undesirables. When you
Indeed.
use a word like
Indeed.
that, people who have no integrity
Right.
to live on.
Right.
And that's why society is sometimes being very cruel to LSK
Right.
and condemn them
Yes.
as they are not doing. But with that kind of numbers, they will always have some bad.
Is there any need to tame that number? To tame that number, like to...
There is no capacity to tame it, because then you'd offend our constitution.
Okay.
Because my right to become a lawyer can't be determined by you.
They can just make it harder at the Kenya School of Law.
If you can make it harder at the Kenya School of Law, that's up your business. If you are the one responsible for determining what the criteria ought to be. But I will jump it anyhow. So, because if I've decided to become a lawyer, I've become a lawyer. Come hell or high waters.
Justice, speaking of the LSK, and I'm throwing hints. It is my birthday next month.
Oh.
I would appreciate a signed copy of the book, which I will read, and then I'll also pass on to retired justice. You think I've done enough to get a signed copy? I don't know if there's a chapter there on your tenure as chair of the LSK, but it came at a time between 1981 and 1983. Clearly, the year between that is 1982, and we know he's now one of the older practitioners, John Haminwa. Yes, and that was the time of the coup, and I know there was detention involved.
Yes, sir. He was detained.
Yes. When you talk about, because you're a peacemaker, you're an arbitrator, when you talk about challenging times in your career, do you write about that in the book?
As much of it as I can put.
Right.
It may not. It certainly is not everything that happened.
Right.
Some of it is stuck with me.
Right.
Like John, for instance, was detained by President Moi, and he was detained because he acted for another client of mine called Mwangi Stephen Muridhi, who had been detained also by Moi for refusing to move from the police force and go to uplands to run the factory.
Yes.
And then I was given the responsibility of going to see Muridhi in detention,
Right.
and to persuade him to easen up his terms,
Yes.
his stance.
Yes.
Which I did, and eventually he got released, and all that. Some of that is in the book.
Justice Muthoga, speaking of, and we remember we were talking about this book, Audacity and Sacrifice. I'll be giving you the details, and we'll also have the details online of where you can buy copies of this book in Nairobi. It'll make a perfect gift, by the way, especially if you are in the legal fraternity or you know somebody who is in the legal fraternity or somebody who wants to be in the legal fraternity. That said, it's about keeping counsel and people talking too much. As the wananchi of this country, we now find that your colleagues talk too much. Do you find that to be the same? Because everyone is talking about everyone else's business. And I don't know, because he's such a diplomatic soul. But because we talk about things like we disturb Advocate Google this all the time, because on social media, Mariam, don't you see that? Or Jurispesa, this judge did not do this lawyer did this. I mean, we read about shenanigans, Justice, about two lawyers who are going hammers and tongs, surely. It was embarrassing last week. Did you see that? talking about a case and a magistrate and a client and a divorce. Did you see that, Justice? When you see that with your experience, and as you just said, there are some things you do not talk about.
Yes.
Are you embarrassed for them?
I feel sorry for them.
I like that. Sorry, not embarrassed.
No, I feel sorry for them.
Yes.
You see, there's something called etiquette, professional etiquette.
Yes.
In my day, I was in fact at one time the responsible for professional etiquette of the society. And one of the things we do is to know what to say, when and where. And that's what really disturbs me when I feel sorry for them. Because, for instance, you get up and you shout at a judge, and you say a lot of bad things about not his judgment,
Yes.
but him
The
or
person.
herself.
Yes.
That is unprofessional. It's a serious breach of etiquette,
Right.
professional ethics,
Right.
and etiquette.
Right.
And you ought to be punished for it by the law society.
Right.
And sometimes some of those people would say that they actually see themselves as bigger than the law society.
Right.
And we are running in a position where the society is being run by much, much younger people
Indeed.
than in the past. In our time,
Yes.
the people running the law society were generally the senior group, on the senior segment of the group.
That is so true, by the way. Yes. Yes.
Now, it is a junior segment of the group which is running the society. And of course, that has its own challenges.
Yes.
And I don't want to will it otherwise, but I wish we remained in a position where you are becoming a member of a member of council of the law society was conditioned upon really large service, long time service to the profession.
Justice, you, like I said at the beginning of this hour, you recently celebrated your 80th birthday, Hongera.
Correct.
You said there was a nice celebration at one of the local hotels here. You had
Serena.
At Serena. You had 100 of your nearest and dearest. And I remarked that you look at least 10 years younger than you actually are, and you are also very, very lucid. How do you keep yourself sharp?
How do I keep myself sharp?
Yes.
By keeping sharp, by reading, by applying myself, by...
Justice, this is a very important question. Reading social media, magazines or books?
You don't need social media. Social media is not for reading.
Mariam?
I see you.
Yes.
I see what you're doing there.
Reading books.
Yes.
Gen Z mumesikia. We had an argument yesterday.
Yes.
We had an argument yesterday. The boomers taught us to read the X's, but now we've trickled down to the Gen Zs what they read at screens.
Yes.
Yes.
That is not reading.
Oh, please, no, let me come closer to the microphone, please, Justice, and then I need to put your volume up a bit so people in Kakamega can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
I'm saying that is not reading. That watching the screen is not reading.
Bas.
And in fact, even Sweden
Yes.
has begun to go back to books, abandon screens.
Please, I hope, please record this. We'll need that sound bite. Ne? Very good. Go on, sir.
They have abandoned reading, watching screens.
Yes.
And they want children to go back to reading the
Thank
books.
you.
Because books, when you read books,
Yes, sir.
you do two things. One, you perceive it, you get it in, and it sticks
I said this.
a lot more
Yes.
than when you read the screen.
Love it.
if you look at your phone,
Yes.
and you just read a message that you just read,
Yes.
and then put the phone there,
Yes.
and 5 minutes I ask you, what did the message say? You will be hardly able to remember it.
Yes.
But if you had just read one passage of a storybook,
Yes.
you will remember, yes, we were talking about this and so on and so forth. That's essentially what it is.
I love it.
Of course, the new age has come,
Yes.
and there will be a lot of people who tell you that is reading,
Right.
but that reading cannot keep your mind
Right.
sharp.
Right.
It is reading books that keeps your mind sharp.
Right.
You will be told by those who know me or associate with me that it does not matter what day of the week is, I must read the Nation, the Daily Nation, I must read the Standard newspaper, those two at least,
Yes.
and when I am able to do so, I read the Star.
Yes.
Occasionally, especially if I'm in Nairobi.
Right. And
you win that argument.
thank you. And
Yeah.
no, it's okay. Don't worry. We shall discuss. You know, we have guests and
Yeah.
we have a senior counsel.
And
Best
did you-
behavior.
I did have one very quick one, yeah? I love his first chapter, what it's called, The Family I Was Born Into. And when I go to the end of your book, you say that I am confident that if I had encountered half of the strife that my father did, I would not have made it in life. So my question is, were you inspired to be who you are today by the struggles that you saw your dad go through, or by the injustices that you saw in that time?
A combination of the two. What I saw my father go through made me want to become educated, right?
Okay.
Because we knew for sure, and it was said, if your children do not read, they will become laborers.
There was no gray area.
There was no gray area. If
Yes.
you are not, you are not educated,
Bas.
you are out to the farm as a laborer.
Wow.
And I did not want to become a laborer.
Yes.
But when it came to deciding to become a lawyer,
Yes.
that was triggered by an incident I had with a policeman, Mzugu policeman.
No. Justice. Don't tell us about the incident because it's in the book.
It is in the book.
Yes. And I want you to buy the book.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let that hang there loose.
Yes.
And speaking of hanging there, another conversation that I've had with Mariam, I hope I get the answer that I want, is concerning love. And also going through the chapters of your book, you dedicate at least a chapter there to Madame, to your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow.
My late wife.
Your late wife. And, you, in terms of love, you also, do you tell us how you met? Do you tell us how you kept the love going and burning?
It's right in the book.
But you see?
Oh, good.
You see. And remember, Mariam, because do you want to ask him that particular question? Because that's a question that we are talking between us. You say that love dies. Did you say? Ask Justice.
No, actually.
Remember, this is the week after Valentine's.
My biggest the biggest concern right now when it comes to marriage is that people argue that it is not love that brought people together, it's responsibility. So right now we believe that no, love should not be the basis of getting a partner. It is about
partner. Are you talking about a wife or husband, or
wife,
partner
wife,
is
wife.
in the law firm of Muthoga?
No, wife. We're talking about our marriage. We're talking about marriage right now.
Now, marriage is, if it's going to be a successful marriage, it has to be driven by love.
I like this.
Because in living together, just living together, you make a lot of bad things to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And tolerating that is always because you love them.
So what does love mean to you? How do you define that?
Love can be defined in many ways. Of course, it is defined in Paul tried to define it in the Bible, and said what it is and what it doesn't do. It is it
is kind.
It's kind.
Yes.
It is there. It does not counter the litany of wrongs and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But it is really that total combination that constitutes love. I say I love you. If I mean it, I mean that I would want you to succeed. I would want you to prosper. I would want you to see good things. I would not want bad things to happen to you. Right? If I say I don't love you, it means I'm indifferent as to whether you fall or don't fall or whatever it is.
So love is about intention.
It's not about. It's an expression of a feeling. Expressing of a feeling towards another person. And with this LBGT and all those things that we keep hearing, men are falling in love with men, and for me, I'm not able to appreciate that possibility.
Love is love.
That possibility.
Oh man, we could sit here with him, and he would regale us with legends and tales forever. But time waits for no person, indeed not for no man. And author of the book Audacity and Sacrifice, which, by the way, is more than just an autobiography. I like the way this is written. This book is described as a personal narrative of a man who has risen above adversity and has made a lasting impact in this world. And indeed he has. And through this story, our guest has basically inspired everybody, and I hope including you as a listener, to not only strive for justice and equality, basically be just a better human being. This book basically is the story of our guest's perseverance, his audacity, his skill, his pragmatism, and truthfulness that has basically superseded his personal interest. And man, from where he's been and what he's still doing, this is so true. And hopefully this will inspire you as a reader to overcome adversity, anything that you might be going through yourself. And not only will it make a lasting impact, but basically it will make that impact not only in your personal life, but also when you set foot out of your door in this stage that we call life. Oh man, he is the author of the book Audacity and Sacrifice. We've got to get him back on a Thursday. He is Justice Lee Muthoga. Justice, thank you so very much for coming through today. And listen, like I said, if you know somebody who's in the legal fraternity, if you're a Gen Z, you know a Gen Z. I pick on Gen Zs too much, you should get this book, by the way. Know anyone in the legal fraternity. If you have a sibling, a child who wants to get into practice, just buy this book. And if you're a Kenyan, imagine it's just a damn good read. This book is available at textbook centers, okay? Then also Nuria stores as well. It's also available at Bookstop at Yaya Center. That's one of my favorite. And then also at the library, and let's say this together, Miriam, at the University of Nairobi. Don't just say UN. People can get lost. Yeah, so I'll say that one more time. At all textbook centers. Okay. You can also find it at that bookshop in Prestige Plaza.
Prestige Bookshop.
Nice. Thank you. And then also Nuria bookshops. Okay. And then Bookstop at Yaya Center. And then the library at the University of Nairobi. And then listen, get on there. Also, it's www.leemuthoga.com. That is LEEMUTHOGA. Again, LEEMUTHOGA.com. And you'll get all the info in case you want to buy this book for somebody who's in the diaspora. Yes, Justice?
Yes.
Indeed. And retailing for 3,500 Kenya shillings only. I'm getting a signed copy, which I'm going to pass on to your friend.
That's right.
And Justice, again, thank you so very much for coming through. Remember, Audacity and Sacrifice. Buy it now. By the way, do you read? Do you read?
I was going to ask, is there an ebook?
No, if we ask him, no. Don't ask her. Look me in the yes.
Thank you very
But
much.
for now, we are not talking about ebooks.
Imagine you're embarrassing me by then.
No, I appreciate that, Jeremy. Thank you.
We have guests. So, Sante Sana, Justice Muthoga, and for basically, and he said we were going to do things different in 2025. Indeed. I mean, surely, what a great start.
Yeah, I didn't finish what you had said I do
Yes.
about the foundation.
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes. Indeed. And going forward, Justice Asante Sana, I had forgotten about that. There is now these, what we call legacy projects. Tell us about the foundation.
Yes, I said on my 80th birthday,
Yes.
I decided to set up the Muthoga Foundation, which is a trust foundation for the advancement of education and the elimination of poverty.
Wow.
The two things that this book will show is that I endeavored to seek education in the midst of great poverty. And so I have felt that if I can make some contribution, I set aside 10 million shillings as a seed money for the advancement of education and poverty. At that time, I made a gift of 500,000 to Mchagrian Mtoto children's home in Kibwagare, Warage. And I made a gift of 500,000 to the Kenya High School Needy Children's Fund, where I serve on their board.
Of Kenya High.
Of Kenya High, yes. And I also made a small gift to the church.
Yes.
One of the church where I go to pray.
Yes.
And then I set aside 500,000 for the advancement of a course of teaching children, or what shall I call it? Sports evangelism. That is teaching children out in the villages, in my village, on that area. I want to get to organize for sports and Bible. Children to, or not children, is young men, because young men who are drinking there and smoking baggy and other things, they have nothing to do, they are idling around. We want to provide them with an opportunity to share sports, to play football, to play netball, to play volleyball and compete between churches or between schools and so on and so forth, so that instead of sitting there idly and just drinking and smoking bangi, they spend that time improving themselves. So I set up. I'm setting up a
Foundation.
Not a foundation, a project,
Right.
for getting that evangelism
Right.
through sports. Joining with the churches in that area.
Justice, you know,
ecumenical.
earlier on when we were speaking, when you first started speaking, I asked you about WhatsApp, and you said, you've got a WhatsApp group for the men of the church. And then now, with the Muthoga Foundation, there's a lot that you're also doing with the church.
Yes.
You're a very spiritual human being. Where did you find that? Was that in youth, or was that through education, where you went to school? What was that?
You read it in the book, because
I like that.
I'm autographing one for you before you give it to your dad.
Yes. No,
you
that's
see
good.
how the Lord Jesus Christ
I like that.
came for me
Yes.
in 2011,
Right.
and thereby called me to do everything I can for the advancement of
Good one.
Knowledge of His will.
Very good, sir.
Yeah.
And because you talk about the foundation, which is about a decade old now, and you're doing all these things, how can one contribute, or do we fundraise?
I have not come now to wanting to fundraise
Right.
at the moment.
Right.
Actually, it is not yet set up in law.
Right. Okay.
My children, two of my children are lawyers, and they are working on
Right.
getting it set up in law, so that we have the legal capacity to do that.
That's fair.
But because I launched it on my 80th birthday,
Yes.
I needed to open by making some gifts.
Yeah.
But of course, when the foundation is fully fledged,
Right.
it will welcome anyone who wants to make a contribution towards elimination of poverty and advancement of education.
Justice, finally, time. You have done so much globally in terms of mediation and arbitration.
Yes.
And, when you see somebody such a pioneer, I always think that how does he fight? How does he argue? What brings you peace?
What I think peace is, every one of us wants peace. I can tell you that. Even the people out there in Jordan, in Israel, and
In Gaza,
in Gaza,
yes.
they are looking for peace. Everybody wants peace. It is so difficult to find. And the reason I went into mediation is because I saw that we are relying on the courts to help us resolve disputes, and the courts are not able to do so. In fact, they are not set to resolve disputes. They are actually so to determine the rights of people or parties under the law.
Yes.
So I decided now we'll teach people how to mediate, how to come together, sit, talk about their problems, and agree on the way forward. And they don't need to go to the courts. They must keep out of the courts. And I have been doing that since 2016. And I have my organization, Dispute and Conflict Resolution International, has trained many mediators. Right. And I'm urging others also to train mediators. And in fact, we're having an assembly of mediators on the 22nd of this month at All Saints Cathedral.
That's end of this week, is it?
End of this week.
Yes.
22nd.
Yes.
Because we want mediation. We want this country to cease relying on the courts for peace, because growing peace is not a judicial function. It is a function of harmonization, desire to live together in peace.
Growing peace is not a judicial function. It's a function of the desire to live in peace. Oh man, audacity and sacrifice. Justice Lee Muthoga, please, we want you to get onto the www.leemuthoga.com, Oh, let's buy that book. 3,500 shillings only. And once again, available at textbook centers, at the Prestige Bookshop, which is obviously the Prestige Mall, Nuria Bookstop at Yaya, and the library at the University of Nairobi. To partner at Ngugi Mburu Advocates, you've never seen him like this, ne? Eliud Ngugi, shh, church mouse. Thank you very much for bringing Senior Counsel Lee Muthoga to our studio. We shall buy that book, and hopefully we shall see you soon. Once we've launched the foundation officially, please come through so that we can talk more about it, Senior.
I would.
Thank you so much, sir. And our bye-byes. Mami, as we want you to walk Senior Counsel and Esquire out. You want to say bye?
Yes.
Indeed.
Sante sana, and I'm really grateful. Great conversation.
And you're going to go and read the book, ne?
I'm really challenged. Whatever I said made a lot of sense. I wasn't going to believe you, but I'll take his words.
All right. So keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
At Werimo Mariam on X.
And you want to tuma salams to anybody? Or you done? No? Today we have guests. We're good?
Yes.
Indeed. So coming back with my final thoughts, and may I offend you? I cannot offend you when we have Senior Counsel in the studio. That would be remiss. So we're just going to escort him. Then we're going to go back. Alafu tutaongea kiwase. Safi, that next.